Skiving leather is one of the most important parts and also the easiest part of leather crafting if you know how to do it. If you don't, I'm going to teach you how. It really only takes a handful of tools. I have 3 tools and a blade here. This is optional. This is just to mark. You can also scratch your line with something. And this is to be able to put this blade in here. Now I will say, having a fresh blade is very important at making this a whole lot easier for you. You slide it up in there without falling off. There we go. You have to grab your wing dividers, push them all up in there. It is kind of tricky to do it without these. That's why I mentioned having one of these tools is very convenient. I'll slide up in there. Having a cheap safety skiver like this is very nice. They don't cost much. I think I got this for $4 at Home Depot or at a Hobby Lobby. And the blades come too. They come like a 10-pack at Hobby Lobby. Cost a couple bucks, and they're very convenient to have. Now, whenever you're laying your belt out, you're gonna have your end and your oblong, your 2 holes, or 2 holes. This is just the back end of a belt where you're gonna be skiving. This is just a plain brown belt. It's got a couple of ducks on here that I haven't painted yet. But from your end line or your end hole, the very last one, you're gonna flip it over. If you can see, my line or my dot is here, my line's here. I like to give it about an inch, inch and a half. Now I've already scratched this line to show y'all. If you get your pencil, just mark a line. This tells you where to skive. I also think it's better to not cut off your round end yet, because it makes a much fresher, even shave if you do not cut it off. Now we can get to the easy part. A belt will run in grains, so it's going to run either this way or this way. I always cut mine off to where the grain is running against where I'm skiving. If you run with it, it can be done. I've done it before, but it makes it a little tricky because you're just kind of on top of that grain. You're just going with it. If you go against the grain, it's able to dig up under there and you can skive right through it. You're going to hold it with your thumb like you're pinching it, almost like if you're pinching a knife. You're going to follow and just wrap around. That's the easiest way I've found to do it. Get on your line and just pull back. They're going to come off in straps like that at first. Eventually they will go into something thinner. Sometimes it will slide off and catch away from it. You can reset. Doesn't take much. After you take your big 4 or 5 top pieces off, you're going to get onto this thin stuff where you have like little ups and little hills and valleys almost. You had to scrape them out. You also feel like if it's not a perfectly flat edge, you can feel different rumples and which are high spots and your low spots. So you have to go back and hit those. If you want to really take out all those little hills and valleys at the end, you can sit here and kind of scratch it. Everything will come out even. Now, there's not an exact place you're supposed to be going to as far as thickness. I always like to make it about a 5/6 ounce, which is about what it's here. You can see, if I can get this flat, right there, it's going to come here, and then it starts dropping down there. And then you can finally get to the point where you can get our end point and cut it off there. And that's about as easy as it gets. Now it's able to fold around right there where you need it. You can put your Chicago screws or your line 24 snaps if that's what you're using after you completely finish and put a lining on it, but this will be a lot easier to fold around. There are a few things to keep note of as far as the different leather you're using. A Herman oak has a much tighter grain and it'll be a little harder than a regular veg tan. However, I always like these Herman oaks. They are a little bit harder to skive, but they're worth it as far as the grain that's being held together. Well, that's going to be it for this video. If you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to get to them as fast as I can. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you know how to skive. Have a blessed night.